welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I have a little book haul for you. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have already seen a picture of the book haul that my sister and I had when we went to McKay's. My sister was here visiting from New Hampshire, so she'd never been to McKay's, and it was a lovely experience. I think she really enjoyed it. Between the two of us, we left with, I think, around 60 books. 20 of them were mine, so when I say a little book haul, it's not that little, but it is smaller than some of the book hauls I've had on this channel. As per the usual, I will have these divided up into genres, so if you want to skip around, you can. I'm going to kick this off with fantasy because I only have one fantasy in this stack, or at least only one adult fantasy, and that is The Ember Blade by Chris Whitting. I have been looking for this book for a really long time. None of the libraries that I've been part of have ever carried it since it's been published, and I just didn't really want to pay full price for it on Amazon because I hadn't read anything by him. I think this is actually his debut novel, and I just didn't know whether or not I was going to love it, so I really didn't want to spend that, so I was so excited to find this at McKay's. I've never seen it used anywhere, and I think it was $6. I think that's what I paid for it. So super pumped about this. Don't know a lot about it except that it has gotten some criticism for feeling similar to Lord of the Rings, but it was more written almost like as a love letter to that, I think. And the sequel has come out recently, this year, I think. And I am pretty sure that like tonally and maybe even subject-wise departs more from the first book. So I don't think it continues to all feel the same way the first one did. At least that's what I remember hearing, but I don't know a ton about it. But I'm really excited to read it. It's actually a lot chunkier than I thought it was. It's like 800 pages long. I thought it was like a 400-page book, and I picked it up. I'm like, oh, that's bigger than I thought. Another category that I only have one book in is nonfiction, and I found Wild Swans. It's really funny because the half price book stickers on there, which says $7.99, McKay's was selling it for $1.50. So I was pretty excited about that. I've heard of this year. I hadn't heard of it before this year. This is like a memoir of 3 women from China. I think it's generational, if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't really know for sure, but I've heard some really excellent things about this book, so I was super excited to find it. Next up, we have some random comedic books. Most of these are comic, but one of them is not. The one that's not, I got for my husband kind of joking around, but also because I thought he would appreciate it. Did anyone else not know that there is a Ron Burgundy book? If you watched Anchorman, you might be interested in this. It was 75 cents, and I couldn't pass it up. And on the back it says, "My name is Ron Burgundy, and what you have in your hands is a very big deal. It's my life, it's my words, it's my gift to you." My daughter is a huge Garfield fan, and so they had several of these like 3-pack ones here. So you can see she's already been reading them. So she got 2 of these. They were $4.50 each, and the individual Garfield comics were $4.50 each. So I'm like, well, let's get the ones that have 3 each in them. And lastly, I'm a big Gary Larson fan, and I don't have this one, Wiener Dog Art. I actually don't think I've ever read this one. I really like Gary Larson, so I have quite a few of his Far Side compilations, and now I have another one to add. Next up, we have some middle grade, some of which is for me, some of which is for my daughter, some of which might be for both. First, we have a Gail Carson Levine book, The Two Princesses of Bamar. I was thinking it was Bavar, but it looks like it's Bamar. My daughter's read this before, but she's gotten it on Kindle, and she loves it and really, really wanted it. Ella Enchanted is like one of my favorite middle grades ever. It was my favorite middle grade of the year, I think the year before last, and so we really like Gail Carson Levine's fantasy around here. Some other books in the series that my daughter got, actually I think they're both book 3s in the series, which is kind of funny. So this book is called This Is Not Good For You, and I don't know what the name, the name of the series is called The Secret series. The first book is, the name of this book is Secret, and it's written by pseudonymous Bosch, and my daughter really, really enjoys this series. I think there's 5 total, so now she owns the first 3. And then she also got the conclusion to The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. So this is his series on Egyptian mythology. She read Percy Jackson this summer and just loved it. She flew through all 5 of those books, and then I had the first book in the Kane Chronicles, and the last time that we went to McKay's, we found book 2, This time we found book 3, and so she's a happy kid. Also found Pictures of Hollis Woods by Patricia Riley Gift. This is a Newbery Honor book, and Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day has talked about this book quite a bit on her channel, and I'm pretty sure it's about foster care, and so I really wanted to get this one and try it out. I've heard such good things. Last in the middle grade category, we have The Middle Moffat by Eleanor Estes. So we have loved Ginger Pie and Pinkie Pie, and then the Moffat series takes place in the same town as those two books. So we already have, I think The Moffats is the first book, and then The Middle Moffat is the second one. I think there might be a third one, I don't know, but they're just really wholesome, sweet, funny. They kind of give me the same kind of vibe as Elizabeth Enright's Melendi Quartet, but I do like the Melendi Quartet better. So if I have to choose, it's Elizabeth Enright's writing over Eleanor Estes's, but I don't have to choose, so I can love them both. The remaining books that I have here are all classics. I know, you're very, very surprised. So I have a nice big stack over here, kicking it off with Dandelion Wine. I did just read Something Wicked This Way Comes. This book is in the same series, though I don't think it's like a traditional series, because this, I think it's book 1 and Something Wicked is book 2. I think they're more like companion novels, that they take place in the same town, same kind of setting, kind of a deal. This, I think, might be Dia from Novel Ideas' favorite Bradbury, and I read Something Wicked on her recommendation. So I think that I am really gonna love this one as well. Next, I found this, and I didn't even know that this was a thing, so I was really excited. This is the Juvenilia of Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte, which seem like kind of random people to put together. Like, yes, they're both influential authors, but they're not even from the same time period. Jane Austen is Regency, Charlotte Bronte is Victorian. So I'm not really sure why these two are together, but these are all their writings from when they were younger and became published authors, if my understanding of this is correct. So I'm really interested in this. I have never seen anything like this anywhere at all. Not that I've gone looking for it, but I've also never heard anyone talk about it. So I am super intrigued by this and really excited that I found it. An author that I have developed a love for this year is Willa Cather, and I own quite a few of her stories. I've still so far only read one, but her writing was just absolutely just so beautiful, and I can't wait to read more of her books. So when I found this collection, the short story collection, I had to pick it up. Do I love the cover? I do not. Like, I don't like the face. I like the flowers. The flowers are cute. So the stories that are in this collection are The Enchanted Bluff, Tom Outland's story, Neighbor Rozicki, The Best Years, and Paul's Case. And then she has an unfinished story as well that's in here that says Unfinished Avignon Story. So this says that these stories span the length of her career and also juxtapose her two worlds, the Nebraska prairie and the world of art, which I didn't know she really wrote much about the world of art, because when I think of her, I do think of her stories about the Nebraska prairie, in particular, you know, the Great Plains trilogy. So I'm really intrigued by this. Speaking of short stories, I almost never find used short story collections by Ellen Montgomery. But as it so happens, this is the second time within the course of a month that I have found one. So this time I found Chronicles of Avonlea, which I'm so excited about, because I don't think that most of these stories, if any of them, actually have Anne in them. But I do think that they have other people that we might be familiar with from the Anne books, and I love Ellen Montgomery so much. So I was so excited to find this for just $1. For some reason, this book haul was super heavy on Joseph Conrad. And I don't know why, I just happened to find so many Conrad books, but he's another author that I have read for the very first time this year and just absolutely love his writing. I've read several of his stories this year. So I found The Rover, and I don't know what this is about. It looks like it's about someone who was a pirate and then returns to his native France, which is now ravaged and scarred by revolution and war. So it sounds interesting. He writes a lot of seafaring things, I've found, and I really liked both of the things I read by him this year. So another one that I got is Nostromo. Maybe I'm saying that right, maybe I'm not. This says that it invents an entire country, Costaguano, and sets it afire as men battle for power and a fortune in silver, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Heart of Darkness, so we'll see if it gives off some of those same vibes. It's a lot longer than most of his other works. And the last Conrad that I have is in this beautiful modern library edition. I love these. I think they're so pretty. So this one is Victory, which I've never heard of. I hadn't heard of The Rover either. So I don't know if it's going to be good. This is a little bit on the longer side for him as well, that it's over 300 pages, because a lot of his books and stories are more like novella length that are under 300 pages, and a lot of them are under 200 pages. So I don't know. I've got some longer Conrad in here, but I love him. I also have an Anthony Trollope in here, The Clamorings. I've heard really, really good things about this Trollope because I started with the Barsetshire Chronicles, I think that's what it's called, and I liked it and didn't love it. So I've kind of petered out after Barchester Towers and haven't really been all that motivated to pick up Dr. Thorne, though I will at some point, because I've heard some people say that's their favorite, but some people have told me Barchester Towers was their favorite. And yeah, I just like, I don't know if it's his writing as a whole that just isn't amazing to me, but his books always feel longer to me than they are. So I don't know if this will be any different, because this is a longer one that, well, not super long. It looks like it's around 400 pages, but longer than like The Warden. So I have heard that this is a good place to start with him, and a couple of his other works too, which I own those also. I'm gonna see if something outside of that series grips me and is a little bit more entertaining to me than those two books were, even though like I said, I liked them and I do plan to continue, but I was hoping I would just absolutely adore them like so many people do, and it just wasn't there for me. I have saved the best for last, which I often do in these book hauls. So I have been invited to co-host a read-along next summer of a super long classics. It's the same group of ladies who hosted for Bleak House and The Count of Monte Cristo and Les Mis, and they decided that the one they were going to do next year is The Tale of the Genji. So this is a Japanese classic that is gigantic, as you can see. I didn't even look to see how many pages this is, but it's a lot. It's over 1,000 for sure. And this is, like I said, Japanese classic and considered like one of the first novels ever. So that's really interesting and exciting. I had this edition, this exact edition in my Amazon cart for $28, and I found it at McKay's for $9, and I was so excited. I usually actually don't spend more than $5 on a used book, but this one was still like a third of the price of what it would have been if I had paid brand new for it, which I would have needed to do reading it next summer. So I am so thrilled about this. So that's my McKay's book haul. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Of these books that I have purchased, are there any that you think that I'm really going to enjoy, or ones that you are just intrigued by that you would like me to read sooner rather than later? I would love to hear from you and hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.